Hey guys, it's TheFrXion here with Tank12. How you call me, I don't really care. And welcome back to World of Tanks. Now today's video is probably a video that I would have loved to see back in the days in 2010 or 11 when I started playing World of Tanks. I would have loved to see a guide to show you how to grind a tank and how to really get the best out of your stock vehicle. So we're going to do just that. We're going to be taking a look at this vehicle at the example of the CS53, and we're going to see just how you can grind the vehicle and how you can make the stock version, the stock grind, the least bothersome, or the least the best way possible, because grinding a stock tank or playing a stock tank usually is not a lot of fun, but in the end, when you get the fully upgraded tank, usually it's worth the hassle, because I remember the T54 was a great tank when it was fully upgraded, but as a stock version, it kind of had its downsides. But if I would have never gotten through the stock phase, I would have never been able to play the tank fully upgraded. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. We're going to take a look at a CS53. We're going to see how I would upgrade this tank, or how I would go by getting the most out of this stock version. Then we're going to have a gameplay of the stock tank to see how bad it's going to be performing, and hopefully this will give the new players, the players that are trying to avoid all the stock grinding, a bit of a helping hand on how to handle stock vehicles. So there are quite a few things that you have to take into account when you actually buy a tank first. You have the crew on the one side that you'll need to retrain probably. You have the modules that you have to take a look at and unlock. You have the free experience for all of the guys that have tons of free experience lying around. You can actually just buy your way through, right? But that's not the type of players that we're aiming this video for or at the moment. But I can still say the free experience I would not be using on unlocking new tanks. Free experience, in my opinion, is the best way to unlock stock tanks, especially if you're stuck with a tank that is just not a lot of fun to play and where you really need an upgrade. That's where I would use free experience. Other than that, I would use the free experience maybe to unlock certain tanks, to get it a bit faster, but it would not be my main priority. I have all the free experience lying around to unlock all the stock versions, because I really don't like stock tanks. But I think in this video, I'm going to show you guys just how I would handle this all. So before we do any of that, before we get the crew retrained, before we jump into a battle and try our luck, we're going to be taking a look at this tank, comparing it to the same vehicle but fully upgraded. So let's see if it is configured correctly. It's not configured correctly, but it's not that important. So right here you can see that you have two guns that you have to unlock. You have a turret that you have to unlock. You have an engine, you have a radio, and you have the tracks. So unfortunately, this doesn't really show you exactly how much experience you're going to be needing. But right here on the tech tree tab, you can see that there are about 6 modules that you have to unlock. And the very first thing I would do right here is to check the characteristics of weight limit that you have on this track, or on the tracks of the stock tank. And it's 38 tons. So let's see how much load limit that we have on this vehicle. I've already put a couple of things on it. We've put ammo on it, we've put consumables on it, and we've put some equipment on it. Very important. If you have equipment lying around and you have enough weight to actually put it on a stock tank, use it, because the equipment is going to make your tank just that much or a little bit better to make it a bit less worse when you're playing the tank. So taking a look at mobility, you can see that the weight load limit is 38 tons max, and we're currently only at 34.63 tons. So that's very important, because now we can take a look at the modules and see what is actually what we're going to be able to actually put on our tank. So what you can see right here is that you have the stock gun. This is the tier 7 gun you have on the CS44 as well. And the next gun is a tier 8 100mm gun, the WZ53 gun. And you can see it has better pen, it has better DPM, just by a little bit. The pen is just better by, I think, about 7 millimeters on the standard round and 10 on the premium shell, but you still have a better gun loading time, 1935 DPM. So this is probably going to be a priority for me, because I want to get this tank up to speed as quickly as I can and as efficiently as I can. So the gun is going to be one of the main attributes I want to fix first. And what's really important is the gun only weighs 2.1 tons. So getting this gun on the vehicle will add only about 2 tons. So it's going to be on the level of 36 tons, 36.6. The radio is not important because the radio is only going to give you 10 meters additional range. So ignore the radio, even though it costs the least amount. This is completely a waste of 7,800 experience. Even later, I would actually not buy the radio. I just unlock the next tank and get the radio immediately unlocked for this tank as well. Don't even waste the 7,800 experience that you have. Now, what's really important for me in a medium tank is mobility. So mobility consists of the engine power, and it's going to be consisting of the traverse speed of your tracks in this scenario. So you can see the traverse speed on the stock tracks is 40 degrees per second, not too bad, but not the best either, and 44 on the upgraded tracks. But to be fair, the upgraded tracks aren't as important at first. You'll see that in just a second. So the engine gives you 580 horsepower. So 580 it's decent, I think, for the weight that this tank has. It's not as a very heavy one. But you can see 710, that's 130 horsepower additional added on top, the 580. So it's going to be making this tank quite a bit faster, or it's going to add a bit of speed. It's going to accelerate faster, and it's quite nice. It also only weighs 2 tons, which is quite nice, because you can see what I'm going to be aiming for in this video. So this engine right here, I would actually go for the gun first, because you want to have the better DPM gun. It only costs you 20,000 experience, so you go for the gun. We can actually show you guys that right here in the comparison. That's what it's really good for. You go for the gun, right? And after you've went for the gun, you actually have the opportunity to go for the engine as well. So you have the gun and the engine, but you still have the stock tracks. And if you, this is how I would handle it, because I want a gun. I want the additional speed to be able to be more mobile, to, get from A to B, which will allow me to flank enemies better. And then I would go for the next gun. And then is the question of, well, if you want to get the turret as well, you'll need the tracks, because the turret is going to weigh about 10 tons. It doesn't matter if you do take away the additional weight from the equipment. You're going to need that turret if you, want to proceed to the next tank. So you have to go for the tracks as well. So I would first go for the gun, then I would go for the engine, and then I would go for the other gun as well, and then I would go for the tracks. It doesn't matter if you go for the gun first, the second, or the third gun, or the tracks first. It doesn't matter, because you'll have to go for the tracks to go for the turret at the end. So it doesn't matter which way you go. But the interesting part is that this gun you can actually equip on the stock turret. So that's quite a nice touch, because, you're going to have this gun on the stock turret. Turret is not going to hold up as well as the top turret, obviously, but still you can be quite as combat effective just with a stock turret. Then I would go for the turret, and then I would go for the tank, and I would skip the radio completely, saving you that amount of experience. So that's how I would go forward. I would first go for the gun, then I would go for the engine, I would go for the second gun, I would go for the tracks, then I would go for the turret. You'll save about 8,000 experience in the end with the radio. So how would I do it when I'm playing the game? So first and foremost, if you do not have premium, see that you can actually get some premium time into that grind. Maybe buy a weekend or a week of premium time. Maybe buy use the premium time that you have gained from certain objectives and all that kind of stuff, and activate it when you're trying to grind it. Then use those 3 times bonus experience for a win. Use them, because they're really going to help you out. Use the personal reserves. Save the personal reserves for your stock tank to actually get it up there. Get the top experience for or 100% additional experience for your tank, and get the crew experience booster, because you want to have them activated, and then you want to play this tank with some premium. If it's possible, if it's not possible, whatever, use the not the bonds, but use the boosters. With the crew, I would actually not train it with gold. I would use it, just the 20,000 credits I would actually use, because getting it to 90% is actually going to be worth it instead of the 80%, because you're going to be playing this tank in stock. You're going to get to 100% once this tank is probably going to be 100% ready, fully decked out. And obviously, if you're struggling really, really hard with a certain module that you cannot unlock, go for the free experience. If you have free experience, use it for those moments, and then buy the module if you do not have the patience to go through it. Do not waste the free experience on tanks that you can unlock by just playing the full equipped vehicle, because most of the time the vehicle fully equipped is not going to be the worst vehicle ever. But always keep some free experience around, just in case, if the vehicle is really bad in stock and maybe even fully upgraded. But I think this tank right here is probably going to be working quite well. Put equipment on it. If you have a lot of money as well, I don't even care. You know what? I'm just gonna put on some bread with smalek. I don't even know what the hell that is, but it looks like some sour. What do you call it? Pickles, sour pickles, or just pickles on top of that, and get your crew ready, and you're ready to roll out. Put the booster on, and you should have the best, most efficient way of unlocking a certain tank. I hope this really helps. Another way is probably also to do these missions or on tracks, because you can actually get some additional experience. I'm not entirely sure if this combat experience is for the last vehicle you've played. So if you do these missions, see that you can have the last vehicle that plays or finishes the mission is this tank. So play this tank, I don't care, play other vehicles, but the last mission is going to be this tank. So when you get 20,000 damage that you've caused, the last 10 damage, I don't care, 5 damage is going to be caused by this tank, because you're going to get the experience counted towards the last vehicle you've played it with. So do it with that. That's also going to help out quite a lot. So in total, you have a lot of ways to get this tank fully upgraded in World of Tanks. You have a lot of ways to get through the grind. Some of them are pay to win, obviously, with the free experience. You can just hurdle your way through it on the side, just sneak by. But I think that would have been really nice to know back in the days. A lot of these features are still have only been around for maybe a year or two, so the grind has become easier to get these stock tanks out of their stock state into the fully upgraded version. So I'd say, without further ado, let's jump into a game, see how bad this tank is in stock, and if it's all going to hell, well, I'm just gonna prove my point, and I'm just gonna go through all the modules, and I'm just gonna unlock all of them. But before we do that, let's pop up some personal reserves, so we can have the maximum effect when we're trying to grind this vehicle. Okay, so guys, we're going to be doing this live action gameplay commentary style, because I think it just makes the most sense to see how well I can do in a stock vehicle that actually has, this is one of the best matchmaking setups that you can get. The only thing that is missing is a couple of tier 6 that you can, punch around, but there's enough of tier 7s and just a few tier 8s that we have to worry about. But let's see how this tank is going to handle. So the very first thing you notice immediately is that the traverse speed of this tank is horrible. It feels very sluggish, and it's quite interesting that I think that is a feature of the Polish medium tanks, that they only have they have pretty bad traverse speed. I think it's just to balance out the fact that when you have the movement mode at tier 9, and I think at tier 10 as well, you have to have something to balance it out a bit, or else these guys would just be running around with 80 kilometers per hour top speed and be like super mobile and everything like that. So I can understand why they did not go that route. But it's a bit sucky to have that on the tier 8 as well, as you can see right here. Now, this is a very uncomfortable situation that we find ourselves in, because I would not like to send this this Leo into his death like this, but unfortunately he decided to go very far ahead, and we do not have any support on this side of the map, unfortunately. As you can see, my mouse is behaving a bit erratically. My my mouse wheel is a bit broken, I think, and it has to do with the fact that that this Razer, like the Razer mice, have these weird issues with mouse wheels. It's already the second Razer mouse that I have had now at this point, and it's the second mouse that had the exact same issue right there. So this is our first hit right there. You can see that our Leo is not going to survive this for very long, and neither are we if we stay here. So I think it's definitely time for us to get out of here. You can see it is a stock vehicle. The gun is not something you expect of a tier 8 to behave like that. The turret rotation is rather nice though on the other side. And the reload time of 11 seconds is just ridiculous, even though it's a 100mm gun. But still. You can see top speed wise, it's not amazing either. The 780 horsepower engine will definitely help out, but I'd still stick with first getting the gun and then go with the engine. But you can actually see that the tank, its mobility is very, very much limited, and its firepower as well. So I have to use gold shells, and I think in a scenario like this, gold shells are going to be the obvious solution. And it's just what you have to use, right? This is the original intended purpose of using premium shells, to be able to actually even do any kind of damage to vehicles that would be completely, you know, invincible towards your standard rounds. And this is just a scenario, you know, your typical World of Tanks Sunday drivers, you know, moving around here, and we have this huge mess of our team just being all over the place, but not where we need them. And you can see that this tank also, you know, without the top turret, you also are lacking the HP that you would get with a fully equipped tank. And now it just makes it more awkward playing a tank like this in stock. And I see why people absolutely hate the idea of stock vehicles, especially a tank like this that really, I think this Polish medium tank, once it's fully upgraded, it's one of the few tanks that I think, like, really, it's not very good at tier 8. There are several reasons for that being the case, or why that's the case. And I think one of the main reasons is just that the armor's not going to hold up. Even against, like, this... I know we're a tier 8 medium tank, and I know this guy is a tier 6 shooting gold, but still, you would at least expect some of the rounds to bounce off of us. But still, I think, given the circumstances that this tank has some very vicious and very bad... standard characteristics at the beginning when you unlock it, we still did quite okay. We did do quite okay. We killed the Yak Tiger. We did do a bit of damage to the Chiri and the IS-3, but you can see that's one of the main reasons why people do not enjoy playing stock tanks, and I can completely understand it. And that's why I've made this video, to hopefully help some of the players to see the light and just be able to go past these awkward stages, the very first awkward stages of a tank that is fully stock. Yeah, you can definitely see, it's always interesting when you're playing the tank after you have visited the characteristics and you've looked at them and you have actually seen the tank, you know, perform in game. there are certain things that I would maybe change, because I think the tracks right now with 40 degrees per second turn rate, it just feels very sluggish. Same with the engine. But I think the gun is going to be the main priority, and then going for the engine, that is something that probably makes a lot of sense. And I think I'm just going to, you know what? We're going to be testing it out in just a second. I'm going to actually unlock the gun. I'm going to unlock the engine as well for science. And we're going to try out this tank again and see if it does any better with the route that we have suggested at the beginning. And hopefully it will. So stick with me. Okay, we're gonna try this again. This time around, I actually did upgrade the engine and I did upgrade the gun. It cost me about, I think, 40,000 experience. I had a lot of free XP, so that's exactly the reason why I saved it up. And let's see if this tank is actually any better or if it still feels extremely sluggish. But then you probably cannot change it because it's going to be the tracks, and 4 degrees of additional traverse speed is not going to be making that much of a difference, but it already feels a lot. It feels a lot more reactive. Let's put it like that. You can actually sense it, reacting a lot better, and the engine power certainly makes a difference. Now, this is really annoying. I hate this. I don't know what's going on, but my mouse. I'm never going to be buying a Razer mouse again. Because every single time I'm trying to zoom in, like you can see right here, it behaves kind of odd. Like I'm zooming out right now, as you can see. I'm putting my mouse wheel to the back, or I'm scrolling backwards. But instead of going backwards, it sometimes just like zooms forwards and goes into the opposite direction. And it's just really, really annoying, because that should definitely not be happening. Especially if I'm playing like World of Tanks, or if I'm playing a strategy game and I really need that mouse wheel to function properly, I think I have to get rid of this Razer mouse. Second time already that this has happened to a Razer mouse. I think this has something to do with their way of producing these mice. Because it's really uncomfortable to play like this. As you can see, it's like what the hell is going on? I'm not even zooming in, I'm zooming out. And why are you like giving me that kind of weird glitch? It's not really that great. So right here we're using the second gun, and you can see it just feels a lot better. Rate of fire is better. It has better characteristics, better DPM, and just it feels like a tier 8 tank, no longer like a weird tier 7 that just was painted and made to look like a tier 8 vehicle. But to be fair, whenever I played against this specific tank, I wasn't really that excited about it, because I was just able to go through this vehicle with everything. I know it's a medium tank and it doesn't have like I don't have the expectation of it to bounce everything, but I would like to, still have some kind of protection, or some form of protection when I'm playing it. And this mouse glitch is just freaking me out right now. And we somehow missed the gorilla, not the gorilla, but the Waffenträger over there. But the rate of fire is still not good enough, especially for a 100mm gun. Which does, I think, 300 damage. Rate of fire. But, they gotta balance it, obviously, or else this would be maybe too powerful. Right there, there's a TVP VTU. Somebody spotted me, must have been... That must have been coming from the bushes in front of me. This tank doesn't have a lot of HP. The gun depression is actually not so bad. To be fair, it doesn't feel to be that bad. And yeah, we do get punished. Certainly a tank that doesn't bounce a lot of shells. Even with the fully upgraded turret, it's only 130mm thick. I think I need to get a new mouse. I swear. This is a super uncomfortable way of playing World of Tanks. In other games, I don't feel it as much, but in World of Tanks, I can actually sense it really a great deal. Yeah, tank feels a lot better. It feels a lot more competitive. That's how quickly a stock tank can become a lot more enjoyable. If you just, you know, have 2 new modules that you put on it, and it feels like a tier 8 tank all of a sudden. And yeah, that's just the epic problem that we have with War Thunder and World of Tanks. Grinding these vehicles out is just no fun. And there are certain tanks where it's really absolutely no joy at all. And then there are some tanks where it's actually not the worst experience. But, you know, this makes a huge difference to be able to have this kind of mobility and this kind of gun and just have it be more, you know, accurate and competitive like a tier 8 just makes a big difference. But still, this is a good game for us, a game where we end up being top tier. We're probably gonna get sniped by the ISU, to be fair, but I'm just gonna take the shot. I'm gonna take the chance right here and hope if I can take out this CS44 as well, take it with me. I'm just gonna be sniping now with the shift key, so I don't have to constantly have this annoying bouncing feature. And let's see if we can get killed by the ISU right here. Actually, let's see if we can kill this ISU. We track him in place, and I think we're gonna get killed by him. Yeah, thank you, artillery. I always loved that since artillery does no longer do any team damage, they are just going to shoot you whenever you're facehugging somebody, and you know, isn't that lovely? Don't you love to get shot by artillery when you're in a duel with somebody, and Artie just thinks that you're just absolutely no way important, or that whatever the fuck, I'm helping you, or the stun doesn't matter. But you can still see we made quite a lot of headway right there, and good victory, 3,200 damage. This feels a lot better already, a lot better. So yeah, I think my route is still legit. I think my route still makes sense. But maybe even getting the 4 degrees of additional traverse speed, maybe get the tracks before you get the last gun. But I think still it kind of is worth going like that. So yeah, this tank, I'm definitely going to be looking forward to it. I'm going to try to review a lot more vehicles in the future. So keep an eye out for that. And hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Hopefully I helped out somebody with this kind of video. And yeah, that's what I'm here for. I want to guide guys. I want to guide you people, and I want to be a bit of an assistance. Why not make it a bit of a better place in this game? Because, well, for crying out loud, Wargaming are definitely not going to be doing anything to make this game a better place. But, you know, that's not coming from me. So either way, I hope you guys did enjoy. As always, comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.